Hello everybody. This is a brief overview of your test for social problems, your second test. Your test will be based on chapters 7, the chapter on poverty, chapter 8, the chapter on racial and ethnic inequality, chapter 9, gender inequality, and chapter 10, sexual orientation. Okay, there are essentially, there are 40 questions, but 2 of the questions are multiple choice questions worth 8 points each, for which you can receive partial credit. So effectively there are 50 questions as there were the last test. Other than that, there are very few differences between this test and the last one. Please pay close attention to the guides and glossaries and major points at the end of every chapter. They should not be taken as standalone sorts of, you just need to review those. It's a shortcut. They should be the guide to your more substantial reading of the chapter. There's some basic concepts we need to go, that you need to go over for yourself in each of these chapters. For example, in chapter, let's just go over them a little bit. For the chapter on poverty, you're going to need to know the official definition of poverty, what the U.S. government uses. Okay, it's there. Okay, you're going to have to know about the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996, the program TANF, that is a current welfare program, what regressive tax is, what the general social definition, sociological definition of poverty is, and you're going to have to know some of the theoretical explanations for poverty. There are tensions between 2 sort of polar opposites in terms of explaining poverty. There are structural definitions of poverty that sociologists use that tend to be critical of the way social structure or society is organized in some manner. They suggest that poverty is the result of large-scale misallocation of resources. Then there are other explanations of poverty, culture of poverty, and then social Darwinism, which are kind of psychological and biological explanations of poverty that tend to place the responsibility of poverty with the poor themselves. So you're going to need to review these and know the theoretical, be able to contrast them in a way through the choices that you're going to have in your questions. Also, what the term meritocracy means. This is by no means comprehensive, but I'm just hitting the high points in terms of concepts that you're going to need to know. For Chapter 8, racism, please focus on the definition of racial groups versus ethnic groups versus the term that sociologists use, racial and ethnic groups. The view of biological determinism versus social construction of race categories, the consequences of racial stratification in American society, the concept of color blindness, and the view that discrimination is inherent in the way that society is structured and not just individual choices. Again, these are very quick overviews of concepts, but they are concepts that you should focus on as a beginning, not the ultimate result of. I'm not going to give you every part of the test here in this review of what you're going to need. Okay, gender. Know the distinction between the terms sex, gender, and what these mean. Okay, know something of the characteristics of the sex and gender as what the words mean, what gender stratification, gendered institutions, and two approaches that are both necessary for analyzing gender inequality. That those would be the gender roles and then gender structure approaches to gender. Definitions of terms like patriarchy, sexuality, glass ceiling, and how they apply to different institutional arrangements, including family and work life. Okay, that is a brief overview of Chapter 9. Chapter 10 on sexual orientation. Please know terms heteronormativity, what homosexual, heterosexual, bisexual, and asexual mean, and the sorts of approaches to discrimination and fighting the concept compulsory heterosexuality, homophobia, and heteronormativity. Please know the definitions of these terms. If you do this, do a brief review and a reread of these chapters, you should be just fine and well disposed in terms of being able to get a good grade on the test. And I wish you the best of luck. Thanks a lot.